Am I the jerk for refusing to let my daughter's grandparents take her for Christmas after they threatened to sue me for custody? Posted by you/apprehensive mix 2251. I, 30F, am the single mother of Clara, 2F. My pregnancy wasn't planned. I had a no-strings-attached relationship with her father, Jack, 30M, for 7 months when I unexpectedly became pregnant. He lived in another state but visited my city monthly for business reasons, and we hit it off after meeting in a bar. We discussed our options regarding the pregnancy, but I decided to keep the baby. Jack wanted to be part of her life, so we planned to raise the baby together, not as a couple, just as co-parents. Unfortunately, Jack passed away during my pregnancy. Jack's parents, Linda and James, knew I was pregnant when he passed. We had already done a prenatal paternity test at the time. We were all devastated by his passing, but, of course, his parents were destroyed by it. Clara is their first and only grandchild, and she became their beacon of light in a dark time, as they say. They have 2 other daughters, Ruth, 37F, and Lily, 27F, but neither has children. Ruth has been trying to conceive for a long time with her husband, while Lily is child-free and single. Jack's whole family lives in another state, except for Lily, who lives abroad. They have a family business, so their lives are rooted there, while I have my family and career in my current city, where I live with Clara. Since Clara was born, we have had an agreement, nothing legal, but we all agreed on visitations for her grandparents and aunts. They usually visit Clara twice a month. James and Linda visit the most, but Ruth also shows up sometimes. I really appreciate their presence in her life. From the beginning, a point of contention in our relationship has been traveling with Clara to their state. They have a large property that has been in their family for over 100 years, as well as a family business. In their small town, they are treated as almost royalty and want Clara to experience that. I understand that it's good for my daughter to know her heritage, but I have always put my foot down on the idea of them traveling with her without me. I have already visited their hometown 3 times with Clara since she was born, but apparently, this isn't enough. Our relationship wasn't perfect. I had some issues with Linda meddling way too much in my parenting, but we were civil until I started my current relationship. I've been dating Ted, 34M, for almost a year, and things are tense with James and Linda. Ted and I don't live together, and he has a daughter, Marie, 4F, who lives with him. Linda has expressed disapproval of his constant presence in my house, which is not true. Both of us work a lot, and between our kids and other priorities, we probably see each other 3 to 4 times a week, of Marie having playdates and sleepovers with Clara, and the list goes on. She will find a way to comment on anything, even Ted's car parked in front of my house. Things escalated 2 weeks ago when I emailed Linda, James, and Ruth an invite for Christmas Eve. Ted and I will be hosting a get-together with our families and close friends. I decided to invite Clara's grandparents so they could spend Christmas Eve with her, but I also let them know that if they preferred, they could take her for lunch on Christmas Day. The next day, Linda texted me that they already had plans to take Clara to their home for Christmas. I said that this was not happening. I didn't hear anything from her for about 2 days. Then Linda called me, stating that she had given me 2 days to cool off and be reasonable. I asked what she meant, and she said they have rights over Clara and had waited too long to take her home for Christmas. Now that she is older, she can travel without me. I said that this was never discussed and that I would not let them travel with my daughter without even talking to me about it first. Linda said this was the discussion before the travel. I laughed on the call and told her she was delusional. Things escalated quickly after that. I was accused of trying to replace Jack in Clara's life, and I also said some things that were a little cruel about Jack never even meeting Clara. After Linda hung up on me, James called and tried to reason with me. He let it slip that they had bought Clara's plane tickets 2 months ago without asking me first. I said there was no way I would let them walk all over me. James lost his temper and demanded that I apologize to Linda or we would go to court over this. I didn't back down and said they were the ones choosing to fight over this, not me. Well, after some time of silence from them, I was served with court papers. They are suing me for custody of Clara and claiming that I am unfit as a mother. I already have a lawyer whom I consulted before our fight over the phone. She told me yesterday that they have almost no chance of getting any custody. The most they could get is visitation, but still, I am worried about this becoming a legal battle. Edit. Some clarifications are needed. 1. How do Linda and James know details about my life? How do they know about Ted's car and Marie's playdates? They do live in another state, but they visit often. At least twice a month, they come to see Clara, and they come to my house to pick her up and drop her off after their outings. This is how Linda noticed Ted's car in front of my driveway. Since I live in a gated community, this type of parking is forbidden unless it's the homeowner's car. The first time she saw his car, Linda asked if I would call security to tow it, and I said no because it was Ted's car. They also used to FaceTime Clara 3 times a week. That's how they learned about some of her playdates and sleepovers with Marie. They called when Marie was still at the house with Clara and saw her. 2. They expected my toddler to travel alone on a plane? No, I think I didn't explain it well enough. James said they would travel to my city, take Clara with them on the plane to their state, and after a week, they would bring her back. She was never supposed to travel alone, that was their plan. 3. Do I believe they were going to kidnap my daughter? I don't know. I think it's possible. Some comments made me paranoid, to be honest. James said they bought her return ticket, but I don't think I should trust him without proof. Their word means nothing now. 4. Do I still have contact with them? No, my lawyer advised me to cut all visits and video calls with Clara and only communicate with my daughter's grandparents through our lawyers. They are not blocked on my phone, but I will not answer any calls from them. If they text or email me, I'll forward it to my lawyer. Trust me, today was all about making an FU binder and documenting every little thing. Thank you so much for the advice, everyone. And don't worry too much, Clara and I live in a very secure community with cameras and armed security. Nobody will take her from me. Update 2 months later. Hey, I posted my story here a few months ago and was surprised by how quickly it blew up, not only on Reddit but also on other apps. I wasn't sure if I should post an update since I feared being doxxed. I also received a ton of hate through messages and from people reposting my story, bullying me, and wishing for me to lose custody of my daughter. Regarding the possibility of doxing, I talked to my lawyer and showed her my post. She said I could update as long as I kept the fake names and avoided sharing personal details. So far, no one in my life has discovered my post, which makes sense since English isn't our country's first language. More than 2 months have passed, and a lot has happened since then. My life was really chaotic for a few weeks, and I felt like I couldn't celebrate Christmas the way I truly wanted because I was constantly worried about the custody lawsuit. I'm relieved to say that it's over now. To those worried about Clara, I thank you for being so kind. Clara is healthy and happy. Luckily, no one has tried to take her from me. I know a lot of you mentioned the possibility of kidnapping. I'm still worried about it, but nothing has happened. After I made my post, I spent several days working with my lawyer, my family, and even the home security company I hired to ensure Clara was safe. I made sure all my security cameras were working and gathered all the necessary documentation for court. My lawyer and I prepared extensive documentation about me and Clara and even obtained the visitation records from my gated community, which proved that Ted has never spent the night here. My family was very aware of my fears about kidnapping and made sure to always be around us. I have to thank you all for the incredible advice I received. I don't want to dwell too much on the haters because 90% of the comments and messages were truly kind and caring. I tried my best to listen to my lawyer and consider many of the things you all suggested to ensure our safety. Not only that, but I spoke with Clara's pediatrician, pediatric dentist, swimming teacher, and even my parents' church, where Clara sometimes attends kids' classes. They are all aware of the lawsuit and understand that no one should disclose any information about Clara or me under any circumstances. Everyone is on the same page, providing support and being understanding. Some people also advised me to speak with Clara's aunts to see if they were aware of the lawsuit and the possibility that their parents might try to take my daughter. I wasn't sure how to approach this, but my lawyer said I could try to communicate with them, only via text or email. Before I could do this, Lily, Jack's younger sister who lives in Europe, texted me to ask if I had received Clara's Christmas gifts that she had sent by mail. I saw this as an opportunity and wrote her a message explaining what was happening with her parents. Lily said she had no idea about the lawsuit or that they wanted to take Clara for Christmas and fly with her on a plane. She said she would speak with Ruth and ask her about it since Ruth had been very distant from their family group chat at the time. A day later, Lily and Ruth created a group chat to talk to me. They asked if we could have a video call, and I told them I needed to consult my lawyer first. My lawyer agreed to the call as long as they allowed me to record it to ensure nothing could be used against me. Both agreed, and we had a video call that turned out to be very enlightening. Ruth apologized for being absent from our lives over the past few months. She had been dealing with many personal issues but had happy news to share. She had gone through her 3rd round of IVF, and was now about 22 weeks pregnant with her first child. She had kept everything quiet, only she and her husband, Sam, knew about the IVF process and pregnancy. She explained that this was because Linda had put too much pressure and stress on her during previous IVF attempts. Ruth had been distancing herself from anything that raised her anxiety levels, and her mother was a major source of that anxiety. Her pregnancy is great news, though it didn't surprise me since I knew she had been trying for a baby. I'm happy she was finally able to conceive. Here, I have to explain that Linda is what people call a boy mom. She never got along with her daughters. I had an inkling about this, But since I wasn't close to them, I had no idea how bad the relationship really was. They just seemed distant, and James appeared to be closer to their daughters. Ruth swore that she didn't know about the lawsuit until Lily called her the day before. After that, she spoke with her dad and his best friend, who is a lawyer, to try to understand what was going on. She was surprised that James's friend didn't know anything about the lawsuit since he is usually the lawyer representing him. James, on the other hand, tried to divert the subject when Ruth asked, but she pressured him, and eventually, he folded and told her everything. James claimed that he didn't want to sue me, but Linda's mental health had deteriorated to the point that he feared for her well-being. The only thing that could get her out of bed was Clara and the thought of having her around. He ignored that this made Linda the one who was not fit to raise a child, not me. His plan was to pressure me with a lawsuit in order to make me accept a better visitation deal for them. They wanted more days with her and the ability to travel with her to their home multiple times a year. James never said that they wanted to keep her forever, but I do not trust his words. My trust is shattered. Ruth and Sam ripped into James for suing me over custody to manipulate me and for not forcing Linda to go to therapy. He said Linda didn't accept the idea of seeing a therapist because she was not crazy and said that she would not go under any circumstances. Ruth had to threaten James that if he didn't withdraw the lawsuit and get the help that both Linda and he needed, she would go no contact and resign from the family business. She was very worried about the idea of them doing the same to Sam in case she died and their child was left with her husband. James kind of broke after this and caved to Ruth's demands. After my call with Ruth and Lily, I was under the impression that the lawsuit would be terminated. Unfortunately, in my country, from the 20th of December until the 20th of January, the courts are on break and only deal with emergency cases. Mine wasn't. Their lawyer reached out to mine to discuss the end of the lawsuit and the drafting of a visitation agreement that the family court would approve. We agreed to work on this, but I would only sign any visitation agreement after they had withdrawn their lawsuit for custody and only if they agreed to follow my rules. From what I know, after being pressured by her whole family, Linda eventually accepted therapy and is now seeing both a psychiatrist and a therapist. She was diagnosed with depression and PTSD related to Jack's death. I know this because my lawyer demanded that her doctors provide an evaluation of Linda's mental state as part of our legal agreement for me to accept a visitation deal with Clara's grandparents. I never said it here, but Jack's death was sudden and violent. He was a victim of a robbery. All of us were shocked by his passing, but Linda and James took the brunt of it. I always felt that they didn't mourn enough since they switched their attention to my pregnancy a few weeks after his passing, and I was right to think that. In our visitation agreement, I also demanded that both James and Linda go through grief counseling, to which they agreed to a number of sessions. James, Linda, and I are attending virtual family therapy for the first few months of our agreement to ensure we are in a healthy space to deal with our relationship and put Clara's well-being first. Regarding this, I have nothing to complain about. They accepted my terms pretty easily. They did try to fight against the idea of supervised visitation, but I had no reason to accept otherwise. Now they will visit Clara twice a month at a family center in my city. This is something my country has. It is a public building where matters related to the custody of minors and family issues regarding custody are handled. They have very good security there. Those visits will be supervised by a social worker who was assigned to our case by the judge who signed our visitation agreement. Regarding my fears of kidnapping, I have to say I didn't feel validated by my country's laws. My lawyer and I went to a police station and filed a report about the possible kidnapping. They didn't seem to take it seriously, and as of now, they will not press charges. At least there's paperwork documenting my concerns. James ended up sending my lawyer Clara's plane tickets to prove they had bought her 2 tickets and were not planning on staying with her. Since they have money, I don't think it would be hard for them to buy a return ticket, knowing they would not use it. So I still do not trust or believe them. I have no plans to let them visit Clara without supervision. Even their aunts know that if they want to see Clara, they will have to be supervised too. Everyone is accepting this for now, and the visit started a couple of weeks ago. Let's see what happens in the future. I also do not intend to travel to their state or city in the near future. I'm truly scared about the possibility of them using their power to take my daughter, so I will not make it easier for them. Thank you again for the help and well wishes. As of now, Clara and her mama bear are doing well and enjoying a couple of days that I took to spend quality time together and finally celebrate since our Christmas was very stressful. Relevant comments. Commenter. Did you have to give them visitation? If someone tried to take custody of my child or even just threatened it, I'd never want to see or hear from them again. The pair of them are unhinged. Her husband wasn't helping anyone but himself by thinking he was taking the easiest way out by threatening you. What happens in the future when they want more visitation rights again, if they don't agree with the way you're raising her, or if you say no to anything? I'm thinking large presents, trips away, etc., when she's in that stubborn teen stage. Get your ducks in order because this will not be the last time they try to bully you into doing what they want. Ops response. By my country's laws, grandparents have rights, especially in cases where their child is deceased, so if I let this go to family court, they would probably receive the same amount of visitation or more. Additionally, they could have one unsupervised visitation, which is my biggest fear right now. My lawyer and I are preparing to fight them in the future, which is why everything is now included in our official visitation agreement. That's also why I am playing the long game, demonstrating to the family court that I am not alienating my daughter from her father's family. This helps create a positive image of me as a mother and will make it very difficult for them to win anything related to my daughter's custody in the future. I am ready to fight them, don't worry.